Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mrs. Burns, roll call, please.
Mr. Allen is absent with prior notice. Mrs. Bowman?
Here.
Mrs. Hallenbeck?
Present.
Mr. Kovitz is also absent with prior notice. Mrs. Lafferty?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Cirillo?
Here.
And Mr. Sporny?
Here.
And Mr. Sullivan is absent with prior notice. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight, the board met in executive session this evening prior to this meeting to discuss matters of employment, issues related to labor relations, the purchase of lease or real property, matters related to litigation, and matters related to school safety and security. Mrs. Burns, are there any announcements?
There are no announcements.
Dr. McGee, your superintendent's report, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Hollenbeck. As I mentioned last meeting, the artwork in the room is from Neshaminy High School. Some new information: the artwork that's in this room, after it leaves this room, will go on tour to a new state representative's office. Mr. Joe Hogan has asked us to send him some artwork for the lobby of his office. So it will come here, and then some of it will go on tour to the office. At the last meeting, we mentioned about the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, a partnership here at Maple Point with an organization called Angels in Motion. I had the privilege of watching it. I don't know that I actually participated, but just smiles from ear to ear. That was me watching hundreds of students here on their day off. Dozens of staff members, 3 Middletown officers, our HR director, Kelly, and Michelle, our director of secondary education, I believe were giving out, was it pudding or fruit, ladies? Fruit cups. And kids circled around the building, putting things in bags they made. They were expecting to make 2,000 care bags, and as you remember from last time, they had notes in them for those who could use the encouragement. Instead of making 2,000, they made 3,101. So it was a great day here at Maple Point. Remind everyone of our snow day plans. There's a little bit of weather in the forecast for tomorrow. I talked to the individual that changes and cancels school. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. But when it does happen, a reminder that we will not call your house anymore. It'll be text messaged to you. It'll be emailed to you. It'll be tweeted out. It'll be on the Neshaminy website. And it's our hope that we continue the idea of traditional snow days until a point where, one, we exhaust them and we have to do remote days because it would cause us to extend the year, or two, if we have one of those big storms where we're out for more than one day, we might start remote learning once the snow cleanup is done, and we all have the capacity to do that. Friday marks the halfway point of the school year for students. We're halfway there. Cue up Bon Jovi. Reminder to students to check your grades. It's not done yet. You're only halfway there. And since none of them are listening, I'll remind their parents as well to check their grades. And moms and dads, it's time to refresh those supplies, all that great stuff you bought at the beginning of the year. It's somewhere else, so go out and get them some new stuff. And presently going on around the district, particularly in our middle schools, our 8th graders are choosing classes for next year at Neshaminy High School. So it's a rather extensive process where our high school counselors and administrative team come down to the middle schools, present their options. The idea is opportunity and choice. And the theme is today's decisions influence tomorrow's opportunities. We talk about that in a behavior sense, but when it comes to academic, believe it or not, the choices you choose in the middle of your 8th grade year not only are your 9th grade courses and directly impact your 10th grade courses, they impact your 11th, 12th grade courses and impact your opportunities outside of high school as well. So today's decisions actually do influence tomorrow's opportunities. So that's mid-year state of the district. That's all I have, Mrs. Allenbeck.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. McGee. Mrs. Burns, are there any public comments?
No, there were no sign-ups.
Thank you. All right, we'll move right along. Routine matters. I'd like to make a motion for 2.01 minutes, 2.02 treasurer's report, 2.03 check register and procurement card purchases, 2.04 budget transfers, 2.05 investments, and 2.06 exonerations. There's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please? Second by Mr. Cirillo. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. Mr. Cirillo, personnel, please.
I'd like to make a master motion to approve attachments 3.01, retirements, resignations, end of assignments, 3.02, appointments, 3.03, leaves of absence, 3.04, revised returns from leave, 3.05, co-curricular appointments, and 3.06, co-curricular resignations.
There's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please? Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I would like to make a shout out to Mr. P. from he's at Pequesting now, still. Retiring after 35 years. He is a beloved teacher. Everybody, I'm sure, will be sorry to see him go. So congratulations on your retirement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. I have 4 personnel support. I'd like to make a master motion for 4.01 retirements, resignations, end of assignments, 4.02 appointments, 4.03 leaves of absence, and 4.04 revised leaves of absence. There's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please? Second by Mr. Rodriguez. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I would also like to point out we have a retirement of 32.5 years for a Pam Cackley. Thank you for your service. Enjoy your retirement. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. I lost my train of thought there. All those opposed? Abstentions. Vote passes 6-0. Where are we? Business operations. 5.01, resolution to not raise taxes above the Act 1 index. Whereas Pennsylvania Boards of School Directors have the option to adopt the Act 1 resolution for the upcoming fiscal year in accordance with Section 311 of the Taxpayer Relief Act of Special Session Number 1 of 2006, and whereas the Act 1 index for 2023 through 2024 is 4.1%, and the district will not raise the rate of any tax by more than the index. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby adopts the attached Act 1 Accelerated Budget Opt-out Resolution for the 2023-2024 budget in accordance with Act 1 of 2006. There's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please? Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. Oh, I have 5.02 as well. Sunday facility usage. Whereas, accordance to Board Policy 800, facilities fields may not be scheduled on Sundays without school board approval. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves Sunday usage for Neshaminy High School Music Department, Middletown Athletic Association, and the Langhorne Athletic Association. There's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cirillo. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. 5.03, Mr. Asborni, please.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion, 5.03, field turf change order number 3. Whereas the Neshaminy Board of School Directors approved and hired field turf to improve the Neshaminy High School athletic fields, and whereas any construction project, there may be change orders which need to be approved. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy School District authorizes the district business administrator to authorize the attached change order with field turf with a revised date of October 12th, 2022, subject to review, revisions if necessary, and approved by the district solicitor in an amount not to exceed $406,269.72 with one file attached.
There's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please? Second by Mr. Rodriguez. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Mr. Irwin, can you give us a brief synopsis?
Yes, this is the change order to revise the track from the 6 lanes to 8. So this is the additional 2 lanes.
Not necessarily, but I will. No, I just mentioned, I think we've always been limited having the 6-lane track. And the idea here is to go to 8 lanes allows us to have multi-school meets in addition to potential, district-wide or other type meets. And this all kind of came about, with the new stands that we approved for the stadium. It allowed us to gain some extra room for the track. So this is what this is for, or what that's for.
Thank you, Mr. Sporny. Anybody else? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. 5.04, Ms. Bowman, please.
I'd like to make a motion, 5.04, appointments to the Bucks County Technical School Authority. Whereas the term of certain members serving the Bucks County Technical School Authority on behalf of the Neshaminy School District has expired, and whereas it is necessary to appoint individuals to fill these vacancies. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approve Michael Binder and Ron Rudy as district representatives to the Bucks County Technical School Authority for a 5-year term.
There's been a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cirillo. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. 5.05, NESPA Collective Bargaining Agreement 2022 through 2027. Whereas the Neshaminy School District and the Neshaminy Education Support Professional Association have a tentative agreement on a new 5-year collective bargaining agreement covering the school year from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2027. And whereas the association has ratified the tentative agreement on January 6th, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the attached collective bargaining agreement with the Neshaminy Education Support Professional Association covering July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2027, and authorizes the execution of said agreement by the appropriate board members, officers, and administration of the school district. And the bargaining agreement is attached. There's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please? Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I'd like to make a comment. I'm very happy we were able to get this agreement done in a timely manner. It was very good. Hopefully everybody's happy with the outcome, and it was a good experience. So thank you to everybody involved.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? I too would like to express my gratitude that we were able to get this done. It was a little bit longer, I think, than we had anticipated, but we did get to the finish line, and we were able to touch everybody in some way or form so that the union, as well as the board and the district and the taxpayers, will all be satisfied with the result of this contract. There's a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. Mrs. Bowman, please.
Motion 6.01, Student Settlement Agreement. Whereas the Neshaminy School District has outlined a private and confidential agreement with the family of student number 8XXXXX6, now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves providing the educational programming as specified in said agreement.
There's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please? Second by Ms. Lafferty. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0.
I'd like to make a motion 6.02, homebound instruction. Whereas the Neshaminy School District desires to provide education services to meet the needs of students requiring homebound instruction. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the homebound instruction below, and there's 2 students listed.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cirillo. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. Ms. Bowman.
Motion 6.03, out-of-district placements. Whereas in order to meet the educational programming needs of specific students, it may be advantageous to utilize the services of out-of-district providers. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the out-of-district placements identified below, and there are 2 students listed.
There's been a motion on the floor. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cirillo. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. Ms. Lafferty, please.
There's a motion on the floor, 6.04, overnight trips. Whereas according to Board Policy Number 618, trips extending overnight are permitted by authorization of the Board of School Directors only. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following overnight trips, and there are 13 trips on the list.
Thank you, Ms. Lafferty. There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second, please? Second by Mr. Sporny. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. Mr. Rodriguez, please.
I'd like to make a motion on 6.05 BCIU Truancy Services Agreement. Whereas the Bucks County Intermediate Unit Number 22, IU, provides truancy prevention services to Bucks County school districts through an independent contractor. And whereas the Neshaminy School District can make a referral for the services to the IU and will only be billed once the student begins with the services per the attached agreement. And whereas the Neshaminy shall pay the total cost for rendered services with no upfront costs. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy School Board of Directors approves the attached Bucks County Intermediate Unit Number 22 Truancy Services Agreement for the period of July 1st, 2022 until June 30th, 2023, and authorizes the execution of the said agreement by the appropriate board members, officers, and administration of the school district. Files attached.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second, please? Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. Mr. Rodriguez.
I'd like to make a motion on 6.06 NSD BCIU Host District Educational Service Agreement. Whereas Neshaminy School District Host District for Wood Services desires to enter into agreement with Bucks County Intermediate Unit to serve as a local education agency for students placed at Woods. And whereas the implementation of this agreement, the relationship between Bucks IU and the Neshaminy School District shall be that of an agent and independent contractor to principal. Now therefore be it resolved, this agreement shall commence on January 25th, 2023, and continue through January 24th, 2028.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second, please? Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. Mr. Cirillo, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 7.01 policy reading. Whereas the Board Policy Committee reviewed policies 100, 101, 105, 115, 118, 142, and 150 at the January 19th, 2023 committee meeting and recommended no policy changes. And whereas Board Policies 102, 105.2, 110, 124 were also reviewed and are being recommended for a policy first reading. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy School Board of Directors reviewed Policy Series 100 programs and recommend a second reading and final adoption of the policies listed below at the February 14th, 2023 public work session meeting. Again, they are Policy 102, 105.2, 110, and 124.
Thank you, Mr. Cirillo. There's been a motion on the floor. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Lafferty. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 6-0. That brings us to closing of the meeting. Does anybody have any other board business they would like to discuss? Our second round of public comment. Would anybody like to come up to the podium for public comment? Okay. Board comment. Dr. McGee.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Anybody else have board comment? Wow. Well, with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. May I have a second, please? Second. Second by Mr. Cirillo. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.